Hello, my name is Balgis Mohamed. I'm here today to talk about poverty and health. I will explain the two are relative to one another. How does poverty affect your health? Most people, when think of health, would think about medical care and access to quality medical care. But that's not the issue and the only issue about health. Winston Churchill, the Conservative leader, was Prime Minister during the Second World War. He asked Sir William Beveridge to form a report on the conditions of poverty and health after the war. As he could see, there were changes that were needed, but no one wanted to put his recommendations into place. They said it was too expensive. Beveridge's report mentioned the 5 giants and the poverty that was needed to address. It was the Labour Party that followed Beveridge's report and was then the National Health Service, the NHS, was formed in 1948. What did the NHS provide? Well, it provided free medication, free medical treatment whenever needed, free health service covering all forms of health care. The first approach to the NHS was by Anwen Beveridge. He was the Minister of Health from 1945 to 1951 under the Labour Party. Clemens Attlee was the Prime Minister at this time. Beveridge resigned from his post in 1951 because the Chancellor of Exchequer, Hugh Gaitskell, announced charges to prescriptions, in results that medication was no longer free for everyone. Then came along Thatcher. Thatcherism was the Conservative government and was the second political approach. This period was from 1979 to 1990. It was called New Right. Thatcher understood that the NHS was cherished. During the 1979 general election campaign, the free at post of use policy remained. Changes was made to the Griffiths report in 1983, but that was in her third and last administration. Thatcher by then was losing support of her own party. No longer would authority run hospitals. Therefore the NHS Trust bought and provided the care, and general practitioners became the fund holder. Then we have Alan Burnhill. He was the Health Minister under New Labour. This was in 1997. It is when the internal market was abandoned, and as it was supported by the medical professionals. But 5 years later, it was back on with a new agenda and run by New Labour. Now I'm going to talk to you about macro and micro explanations of the social distribution of health changes. What does that mean? Macro sociology, known as macro, it covers the bigger picture of something. Here in this case, it covers the surroundings and community, workplace and education, the bigger picture of the social lifestyle. It involves a bigger scale of the population. So when you talk about health, what can it be done to promote health? One only needs to think about is the facts and places where most of their time is spent. The opportunities or boundaries in those places that lead a healthy lifestyle. For example, if there is enough green space in your community where you can breathe fresh, clean air, is there access to fresh fruit and vegetables? Is there crime in your community? Can you socialize in a crime-free environment? Do you have access to education, good education, from nursery to higher education? Micro sociology, known as micro, the smaller scale. It's certain that the smaller scales of interaction, such as the doctor's surgery and what it contains, what is the meaning and what are the generals between the social actor, such as the doctor and the patient. Is the doctor delivering a service that is covering the patient's needs? Has the doctor listened to the patient and provided service to its fullest? Now, let me talk about the 3 factors that influence the social distribution of health. Number 1, social class. In the Black Report was known that professional people were the higher class and the lower class were known as unskilled people. The lower class were on the high rate of death. This also was the same impact on females that were married to husband's occupation. Therefore, the women that had less chance of dying depending on their husband's occupation. The second one, gender. Gender is important within equality. There have been a range of theories as to how and why society influenced gender equality. Although there are broad agreements about political influence, one of these is gender-specific roles preventing in society and society's response to those roles. The other one within gender is the main provider of informal care and informal care comes from the woman, the lady. She is the sole provider of informal care for children and disabled and other people that are needing the care. The effect of these roles are included reduced sleep, less leisure time, and increase the risk of poverty for women who are full-time carers. All of these can have more serious negative consequences on both physical and mental health. Indeed, it has been suggested that political impact of the caring role on mental well-being may explain the higher rate of depression in women. Thirdly, and not least, race and ethnicity. Race and ethnicity. When you look at race and ethnicity, you may automatically think discrimination or prejudice of what race you are and what ethnical background you may be. It's similar to gender, as different people and different groups have different needs. For example, Afro-Caribbean are higher rate of certain illnesses in some illnesses than white European and vice versa, as Dr. Anthony Pay said in his report. Also, some ethnical groups are blamed for certain social problems within our society. These three factors, as explained, has impact not only on society today, but also, most importantly, on health of our society. Thank you for listening to my presentation on poverty and health. I hope this has highlighted some views in poverty and health in your community. Thank you for listening.